The deadline for Tesla to produce 5,000 Model 3s by the end of Q2 has come and gone, and now I see the excitement and the articles in the media has kind of subsided. But to be honest with you, this is even as much important of the time for Tesla as the Q2 was, because even though they made the production goals, the reason the stock, I guess, didn't react as well, minus the short sellers and so forth, was because the investors were still concerned about that, and they still are concerned that the production rate may not be sustainable. Also, they're starting to worry about the profits, which Elon said that Tesla would be profitable. So, and there are quite a few things that have been happening. So let me update you guys on that, because all of this is pretty exciting. Let's talk about it coming up next. Welcome to those of you who are watching me on Patreon Live. Thank you for supporting the show. Of course, this is the best way to keep this show independent and rolling forward. Of course, if you're watching me in replay on YouTube, welcome. Please click on that subscribe button down there so you are kept up to date on everything that's going on in the world of electric cars, and it's a lot. And it's exciting, definitely really exciting lately. All right, let's talk about the Model 3 production. That has gone down just a bit. The Bloomberg Tracker has been pretty, I would say right on the money in the last few months. They had it about 51 or 5,200 cars per week production just until today, when they updated it and it's down to 4,000. Now, this is something that we've all expected, because I think there's still some glitches to work out to bring the production to 5,000. Maybe even 6,000, week on regular basis. Of course, they're going to figure out what they're going to do with a tent. So I expect, I think everybody expected this. However, Tesla needs to get it back up there to 5,000, because this is what the main concern from Wall Street was, to sustain this number. And I'm confident they will sustain it. I mean, it's just, again, they've never done almost anything on time, but they have certainly, I would say 90% of the time, have delivered at some point what they promised. So I really don't have any doubts on that. But now I guess the focus shifts to a couple of other things, and really mainly it comes down to making the profit. And that's why the all-wheel drive and the performance Model 3 is what's really on the mind of Elon Musk and Tesla, because that's what's giving them the great profit margin, and they're pushing those cars. And a lot of people have been waiting for all-wheel drive and a performance, and both together, especially in the colder climates like northern states in the US and Canada. And they're starting to get really excited about getting those cars. And so let's talk about that. And before that, of course, I want to remind you guys that this channel and the show is sponsored by Avanex, the aftermarket accessories for Tesla. There's a discount code in the description of this video, so you can save yourselves a few bucks when you shop there. Okay, so let's talk about the performance. And this is a performance version. And this is Elon Musk replying to Ryan of Ride a Lightning podcast, which he does pretty often, actually. Elon is talking about he's actually answering a different question, but he answered it about the topic we're talking about right now, which are about 100 performance cars that they've allocated for the test drives. And this is something that, obviously you couldn't test drive. You could look, but you couldn't test drive the Model 3 before. But now that they are going to ramp that up, they are stocking their showrooms with the demos that you can test drive that are performance. And this is obviously what they are now pushing. It looks like, I reported it, I think, based on Electric's article a few days ago, that the salespeople are going to be getting some extra money when they sell a performance car. And they've also opened up the configurator to pretty much everybody who wants to just go ahead and reserve the Tesla. And, performance cars will get a bit of a higher priority, which kind of pisses off some people who've been waiting for a couple years. But on the other hand, again, this is all about ramping up the production and getting the margin up there and getting profitable. So I totally understand. Also, another challenge that Tesla is having, obviously, delivering all of these cars. And it takes really, before, when you buy a Model S and Model X, and even now, they will spend significant amount of time with you. But now, and they've talked about it before, they're relying on mainly the training videos, and which are, you can find them right here on their, here, I'll bring you the full screen. You can find them on their website as a Model 3 guide. And that's where the videos themselves, they send people out to watch those videos before they take delivery, and they only cover very basic things during the delivery. They're aiming at 5 minutes. It's taking about 10 to 15 minutes depending on you know, the delivery center and of course the customer and so forth. They believe that the car is so easy to use and the user interface is so good that you really don't need to spend that much time figuring things out, which I agree. There are a couple that you do need to kind of explanation for, like obviously the air conditioning and the maybe setting up the, you know, the mirrors and so forth. But the rest of it, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. Let me know, those of you guys who are driving Model 3, if you believe that, you know, when you get your friends in the car, they're able to figure things out, how that works pretty fast, because the user interface is definitely really good. So that's you know, I expect more and more news almost every day and every week from Tesla, because to them this is very important. This is where they, you know, make it or break it. At least that's what Elon said just about a month ago. And they definitely need to get profitable. I personally don't think that there's anything wrong with them raising money at some point. I really don't think so. Obviously, how they raise it should be, you know, definitely thought through very carefully. But I don't see a problem with that. They're probably going to have to do it anyway once they're expanding to China or coming up with their Model Y production. But for now, obviously, it's important for them to show some profit, as they promised for the rest of the year, while they're just selling these Model 3s. All right, so let's get to the, I got quite a few comments of the day. First one, I'm actually going to once again say thank you so much for a new Patreon. I'm a little behind because a lot of people are joining, so I'm trying to do one a day, but I might have to do 2 or 3. But Petre, I knew I wouldn't be able to pronounce your name. Maybe Peter, I don't know. Sorry about that. I'm sure you'll correct me in the comment section, but thank you so much. Now, if you want to support the show and watch it live, like my Patreons are watching right now, please, you know, you can basically contribute $1 or all the way up to $5 a month. But some people like Petra here actually going beyond that, donated $10, committed to $10. Thank you so much. It goes such a long way, not just with equipment and cameras and software and so forth, but as you guys know, I'm trying to maybe go full-time with this, so I can really put even more effort into the show and do more on location segments and travel to the destinations where stuff is happening, attending events and so forth. That's one of the reasons I'm moving to Sacramento, to kind of downgrade my lifestyle, cut down on my bills. But you know, I definitely thank those of you guys who are creating this income for my channel for me to be able to do that. And the best way to do it, of course, is from the viewers. So thank you so much. All right, let's move on to the comment of the other 2. I'll do 2 today. One that comes from UFO trailers. All right, and we're talking about the factory that Tesla is going to be building in China. UFO trailers say China factories will be a copy and paste simplicity, so scaling will be simple. Plus, their workforce will be an army. Now, so yes, I agree, and you know, Elon said that they're going to be able to get it up and running in 2 years. I disagree. I think it's going to be 3 or maybe even 4 years as far as when the production is really ramped up there. I don't mean like when the first car just rolls off the line, because you know that doesn't mean as much, as we all know at this point. But yes, I just visited Biden's factory and I've learned a lot about how you know, how they do stuff in China. And yes, once you get the blessings from the government, things happen very, very, very fast. There are less red tape to deal with, and you can, you know, get the factory built very quickly. My concern here, and yes, they just gonna, you know, they already got things going on with their Model 3 line, and they just have to make more of those, you know, more robots and equipment and just kind of transfer it here. However, you know, Tesla doesn't yet know how to do business in China in a bigger way in terms of getting suppliers. Suppliers will probably have to be local suppliers. Doesn't make sense bringing the parts from the outside. God knows what tariffs are going to be on that at this point, right? So it's really important. However, at the same time, it's important to figure out how to hire people. And I don't just mean workers. I think that's fine, but also managers. How can they communicate the values of the company and the structure of the company into their culture? You know, that I know companies being here in Silicon Valley, it is a very tough job, and there are challenges that Tesla will have to solve. So that's why I'm worried about it. But you're right, it's kind of mainly going to be copy and paste in some ways, but in some ways they're definitely going to have to learn a very much a new skill. All right. The second one comes from Kelvin, and this is not a very nice one really, but this is such a Tesla fanboy comment, but at the same time, I think it's non-trollish enough for me to ignore it. I actually like being challenged in some ways, and this is where I actually want to also make another point. And so this is what Calvin wrote about the same topic of Tesla moving to China or expanding to China. He says, so you don't believe Tesla can be producing cars in China by 2020? You're predicting 2023, which is not true actually. Can you remind me when your Golden Byton, who was only just revealed its production site, will deliver their first cars? Warning, some bias may appear larger in your answer. It's funny when somebody accuses me of bias towards one company while having the bias towards the other company right there in their comment, right? This is a very Tesla fanboyish sort of a comment here because, listen, let's just leave Byton alone for a second. I will address it. But listen, I mean, are we on the same page here that Elon Musk and Tesla had almost never delivered stuff on time? Granted, they've delivered amazing product and they've delivered almost every time. And even almost every time means good. But almost never they've delivered it on time. So when Elon Musk says, I'm going to come into a new country, build a factory, ramp up the production in just 2 years, when it took pretty much that, if not more, here in the United States, you see how I would have doubts. As a matter of fact, doubting Elon Musk's deadlines is probably not an unreasonable thing to do. Now, I didn't say that they would be late by 3 years. I said that instead of 2 years, they would probably will be 3 or 4. So obviously, you're not even listening to what I'm saying, so it's hard to kind of take you seriously. I said I believe it's 3 to 4 years, so it will be 21, 22, which gives us 3 years. Don't forget, they can't just start rolling one Model 3 off of the production line. I'm talking about ramping the production up. And then just like I said in the previous comment, that there are a lot of challenges that any company has when they come to a different country, especially China, to do business for the first time. It does take time and things will go wrong. And 2 years is way too aggressive. I'm not the only one who predicts that. Now, as far as my bias towards Byton, again, it's kind of funny that people accuse me of bias here when I've been very equal on both sides. Yes, I love Byton just because so far they haven't done anything wrong, and I see them innovating and I like where they're going with. I'm sure they'll disappoint me sooner or later just because they're going to grow and they're going to break promises and there will be challenges. But my job here is to report. Right now, I like Byton a lot. I now covered 2 of their events, 3 of their events actually this year on location. They have not so far missed any deadlines. So at first, I'm going to give them benefit of the doubt, just like I did to Tesla and Elon Musk. Unfortunately, it didn't work out very well there, and I'm not going to question Byton's meeting their deadlines just yet. By the way, if anything, when we did a tour of the prototype production facility in Nanjing, China for Byton, I saw their deadlines for their construction for the year, because I was questioning. I was like, how are you going to do it in 1 year? Not only are they on time so far with everything construction-wise, some of the things are ahead of time. The guy who runs that operation has done it before very successfully, and they, unlike Tesla, they have brought up experts who actually know how to do it right the first time around. Again, I might be wrong, but Tesla had struggled greatly from 2012 when they produced Model S. You will see there are dozens and dozens of parts on the Model S that you see now are very different what they used to be, because they just didn't know how to make the car 100% well. And they had to retool and reinvent some of the parts, including the brake pads even, as I was just told at the service center, that even had to involve. So, it is pretty reasonable to assume that Tesla will miss yet another deadline. And I'm not going to assume that Byton will do the same. So far, everything I've heard and seen and my personal experience there in Shanghai, and when I met them in Nevada, in Milan, that they might actually be very much on time. Again, until they not, I'm going to give them benefit of the doubt for the first time. My bias towards Biden is only because I really like what they're doing and innovating. So take it as it is. Sorry for a long rant, but I just wanted to make sure that people understand that before you guys comment, you really need to first of all understand listen to what I'm saying first. Obviously, this person didn't. And then, you know, watch my show for a few episodes before accusing me of bias, because I think I'm the most unbiased and balanced electric car show on the internet, or definitely at the very least on YouTube. But again, I know I'll be challenged, and that's fine. And I welcome. I'm definitely the only show that welcomes opinions of somebody who disagrees with me and almost flat out trolls me. I definitely think I'm the only one there. Anyway, sorry about the rant. I just find it fun to do it once in a while. But that's pretty much it for me. I will see you guys next time, and remember, of course, to stay charged.